You can be a shield master too. Welcome back to Corky Gachas, and in this video I'm going to share with you guys my personal shield boomerang and shield chain build, or what you call rampage meeting, right? And this is something that people has asked for constantly because they wanted something that they could grind with, a build that they could grind with, and I think that this build is perfect for people without a plus 15 weapon. In fact, I would say that for the most part, this build is very friendly to free-to-play and light spenders, even more than Grand Cross. I think Grand Cross needs a bit more investment. So going into it, first we're going to touch on the stats, and you can see that I have full VIT and then the rest into strength. You can either go for full VIT and then the rest into strength, or the full VIT and go the rest into dex. So it really depends on what your focus is, and also what breakpoints you can break through, right? So what do I mean by that? If your shield chain cannot one-hit KO the mobs, I would really recommend you guys to go for strength so that you can hit the thresholds to one-hit KO mobs. If you cannot one-hit KO mobs regardless, right, then go for dex, because it's going to help you in casting the shield chain faster so that you can do your 2-hit KOs faster. And it also, I think that going full dex and focusing on shield chain is going to be better for PvP, and this strength is really more for shield boomerang. And a lot of people might be asking right now, hey, Corky Gachas, why are you adding VIT, right? If you're going for offensive build, why not we add full dex and full strength, right? That would make sure that I can do the most damage with shield boomerang as well as shield chain. And here I have to tell you guys that gravity fucked up again, right? Every time fucked up. So here, the shield boomerang, you can see that the shields are required damage skills with the weight of your shield and its refinement. However, for Taiwan servers, right, shield chain and shield boomerang rapid meeting, all this, they actually added in the VIT multiplier. So VIT actually plays a huge part in adding to the bonus damage of a shield, so that you can do much more damage by adding full VIT. And for people that are not convinced, right, I'm just going to show you guys a few examples so that you guys understand. So right here, this is the first build. I am going to first change it down to a non-added build. So this is one and everything, right? And you can see on my cores over here, I have nothing that have like the range. There's no core overload. So first we're going to test with the rampage spinning, and then later we are going to do with the shield boom. This is the normal size, bam. Okay, you can see I'm doing 177k, roughly upwards of that, right? So 100 plus k, 170k, 170k. So this is quite consistent. If we were to switch it to a shield boomerang instead, let's take a look at this. So if we go into a shield boomerang, we are now going to do once again on this medium size, bam. Okay, so now I'm doing roughly 50k, right? So you can see over here, this is 50k, 47k, 50k. So now as you guys can see, I've switched to my tank build. This has VIT 99 and only Urgy. There's no strength, and the Urgy does not grant me any physical attack, right? So I'm going to test it on this guy again, and I have the rampage meeting over here. So first we are going to do this. Take a look at the damage. 200k with 99 VIT. Okay, so this is a very stark difference, almost a 30k increase just based off adding the VIT to 99. And then next we are going to use a shield boomerang so that you guys can see the difference as well for shield boomerang. So here I've added in shield boomerang. Look at this damage, bam, 58k, right? So very stark difference. There is more than 10% difference, you can see. So now finally we are going to change to my last build, which is the shield boomerang build. So I have the strength on 67 here. So logically speaking, with so much investment in strength, right, I should be able to get a substantial increase as well. So as you can see here, it jumps to around 61k, right? So it's not a big difference even if I add strength. This is why I say that VIT is the most important for the multiplier compared to the adding of strength, right? I definitely want you guys to add VIT because VIT is definitely much stronger. It's just a PT that gravity once again did not put it in the tooltip. So you can see here the damage increase. There is a damage increase, but it's not as substantial, although I only invested 67 points, but it should be more given the fact that I have more than like 66% of the invested points, right? If I go to 99, it still wouldn't be as high as me adding 99 in VIT. Moving on, I'm now going to touch on the skills, and do take note here, just a disclaimer, I am adding certain skills because I'm using a sword. So as you can see here, this is for the first drop skills. I have 5 in bash, 5 in magnum break, and then 5 provoke, 5 endure, 10 increased recovery, as well as the 10 in sword mastery. So if you're using a spear, which is much more recommended, definitely drop this 10 points in sword mastery and instead go for either provoke, endure. If you're true grinding, then you can go for magnum break, because sometimes you might use a fire converter, so this can increase your fire damage. And then the rest of the points, really it's up to you. You can put it in endure probably. So going into the second drop skills, this is where the difference is going to come. And honestly, this looks a bit messy, but I'm going to tell you how to adjust it if you need to add a spear mastery. So first things first, the most important one is that you have to unlock Shield Boomerang. So 10 points in Shield Boomerang, this really self-explanatory. And also I think that Auto Guard is very useful because it can help you survive, especially when you go into Glass Helm. This later maps, right, the damage is going to pile up quite a bit, so survivability does come into play even with the sigils that you have to help you with survivability. I think that Auto Guard is still useful, so definitely have Auto Guard. So this is 20 points over here. And then next we are going to have the Demon Bane. I only have 7 points in Demon Bane because I wanted to add protection for the unlocking of the Fortitude over here, which gives us extra HP. I'm going to touch on that later. But for you guys that want to maximize efficiency when it comes to grinding, right, perhaps you can drop protection as well as Fortitude. So 8 points over here, right, can go 3 points into here, 5 points into Spear Mastery, and then subsequently the 10 points will go into Heavy Shield Training. So this increases 40% additional damage to Smite, Shield Boomerang, as well as Rampage Smithing. However, I have heard claims of people saying that this does not work, and personally I've tested because I have two builds, right? Tank build that doesn't have Heavy Shield and the Grind build which has Heavy Shield, and I've tested the damage for Smite. It doesn't increase. So once again, gravity fucked up over here. So this one for now, it's totally useless, but I would still recommend for you guys to add it because they are probably going to fix it pretty soon, right? This is a pretty major thing for them to be missing out. 40% of the shields with granting additional damage bonus, right, is nothing to be scoffed at. So I hope that they would fix it soon. And for people that are looking to add Spear Mastery, you can realize that at this point, there's only 5 points in Spear Mastery. So your extra points in Spear Mastery have to come from here, which is to sacrifice the Shield Reflect. So alternatively, you can sacrifice Battle Chant, but personally, I think that Battle Chant is really useful, especially we can look at the buffs that it gives you, right? 5%, 5 all stats, HP plus 10, restores HP. This is for survivability and also attack plus 10%. So I do think that this is quite useful to get it at level 10 so that you are able to stack as many buffs as possible. But the 5 points from the Shield Reflect would go into Shield Mastery, so thereby you will have 10 points in Shield Mastery. If you want to add the Cavalier Mastery for you to move faster, I don't think it's as necessary when grinding. You can definitely drop points in Battle Chant, so this would be 6 points and then you will have 4 points in Battle Chant. So this is how it works. And here I'd just like to give a special mention to Battle Chant. So if you can take a look at here, right, I do have 10 points in Battle Chant, but I have 2 pages of Battle Chant. So I have one over here. This is, if I'm not wrong, level 9, and then this is level 10. So you can actually stack it. For people that are unaware of how Battle Chant works, if I were to click it one time, you can see this is a beneficial Battle Chant. So if I were to have this Battle Chant over here, it will constantly give me the buffs, right? You can't really see it here, but you can see that from the icon that I'm getting different buffs. So this is the beneficial one. For the non-beneficial one, the negative ones, right, if I click it one more time, it will turn purple, and then now this guy, the dummy itself, would have the negative effects applied on them. So you can see that once I turn purple, right, I couldn't use the beneficial one. So this is where we have to employ a trick. So once you cancel, you have to first go to the one. I prefer the beneficial one, so I would say that the beneficial one, you want to keep it on the higher level. So first go to the lower level one, click it first one time, activate this orange light, click it again, activate this purple light, and then go back to your first one. You can see that it's still blue, meaning it's not being activated. This is the level 10 one, right? Now activate the level 10 one, it becomes a white light. So with this, you can take a look over here. I'm getting beneficial buffs, and this dummy is getting negative debuffs. So this is special. I don't think it's a bug, like, it's really a feature because the color changes, right? So I think that this is a good feature, and then you just have to know how to do it, but no one really tells you how to do it. I learned it from a Taiwan YouTuber. So over here, this is level 9, and then first page, level 10. You cannot put the same level, by the way. If you put same level, level 10 on 2 pages, it doesn't work. So this is just about the Battle Chant. Now moving on, we're going to touch on the gear, and I'm going to start with level 50 because Crusader gear already appears starting from level 50. So what you want to go for when you are level 50 is definitely going for the Longhorn plus the Cross Shield. So the Cross Shield is exclusive to Shield Boomerang and all the shield builds, right? You can see that it deals 10% more skill damage once you equip it, and then for every 1+1 refine, you are going to get damage plus 1%. So this is at level 50. It's already pretty decent, and the good thing about this shield is that it weighs really heavy. I forget what exactly is its weight, but it's the heaviest heavier shoe, and the weight of the shoe affects the damage that you're going to deal, which is why you see that me using a crack buckler is going to do significantly less damage compared to some of you guys using a cross shoe. Next is going to be the Longhorn. So this one, basically it's a spear, and what it does is that it gives you restore 2% max HP every 10 seconds, and this one is good for survivability. Honestly, if you want to go for an ivory lance, I don't think that this is that necessary, because one thing very important, attack speed doesn't affect shoe boomerang as well as shoe chain. You can test it for yourself. It didn't seem like it plays a like difference at all, unless it's so minute that I didn't find any difference. But if that's the case, then don't bother about it, right? So definitely go for this so that you can survive better. This would make sure that you wouldn't die when you are grinding. Going back into level 60 and level 70. So level 70, this is exactly the same. Nothing really changed. I'm just going to skip it. However, when it comes to the gear, right, I did not mention about the armor gear when it comes to this. Usually, it's quite standard, right? Just go with the standard combat uniform, tidal shoes, as well as the wool scarf, right? For before level 70, this is quite straightforward. There's no real good builds except for this one. Now moving on to level 80, the shield as well as the Longhorn remains the same, but now you can see that the effects of the Longhorn is much better, and also the shield now has, for every +2 refine, gives 3% damage, a bit better, and of course at +15 it's going to do 10% more skill damage, but I don't think this +15 is that significant compared to like the Rule's blue spear for the Martel's Reckoning, right? So this one not really important to go to +15, although the refine is also going to affect your shield boomerang, so try as best as possible. Just treat this as your weapon, right, and then refine it, but there is no specific requirements to refine you to +15 urgently. This is what I would recommend. For the armor wise, definitely go with the Godney set. So this set gives you VIT, and also it gives you HP, which is very relevant when you want to like switch builds. I think that this is the best set for Paladin. Don't try to go for Thai set. I don't think it's going to be that useful. So this is just for level 80. As for the accessories wise, the best one is probably going to be the Golden Foot ring itself. So Golden Foot ring gives you a lot of VIT. However, if you don't have this, right, you can go with the normal necklace at level 65, right? So there is a level 65 necklace over here. Just go with this, the necklace 2 slot, and then if you really happen to get a level 85 now rose, you can test it to see whether it's better. I'm not too sure about this. I've not personally tested this, so I would choose to go with the Golden Foot ring over here. As for level 90 and beyond, right, you can see now there is only the accessories being released, and I would think that the Dark Knight belt is going to be the best for this build regardless, right? Hands down the best build. If you want to combo it with the 2-piece, I don't think it's that relevant. I would say that just go for 2 Dark Knight belts. That is going to be much better than going for the 2-piece bonuses. Now moving on to the cards, honestly I would say that for this build itself, Shoe Boomerang as well as the Shoe Chain build, there is not that much focus on cards. Basically just get anything with VIT. Like I mentioned before, right, the Muka card Awaken is going to be super good. I've spent all my Zenny on trying to refine, that's why I don't have it fully awakened, but you should definitely have it fully awakened. And over here I do have the Golden Foot rig as well, quite luckily got it quite recently, so you can see I have all Muka cards in here, right? So VIT is my ultimate focus, and then Eclipse card on this slot itself to give you extra VIT. So everything for VIT, and then for your weapons, as usual, go for racial cards. Racial cards do affect the Shoe Boomerang and as well as the Shoe Chain, so that is very important to note. And also they are affected by converters, right? Don't know where the rumor came from that Shoe Boomerang and Shoe Chain are fixed neutral damage, but honestly they can be affected by converters. I've tested this myself, and this is about it for the cards. Moving next, we are going into the enchants, and this is where it's going to turn a bit interesting, because you can see that all of my enchants right now, right, it's honestly focused more on surviving. And for the like the shields, the armor, all of this, right, I've always gone for this shining instead of going for the PVE damage bonus, because I'm more focused towards sacrifice eventually. So this is what I'm going for. If you're full Shoe Boomerang, then definitely you can go for this, but of course I still think that for a Paladin itself, a lot of it, right, is not just about damage, it's a lot still about HP, about surviving, because if you want to play a true damage class, this is not like the true damage class when you play Shoe Boomerang, right? So definitely don't think about it this way. And then the next thing I want to focus on is the enchants when it comes to the weapons and other slots, right? The accessories as well. You can see I can click on my accessories. I have a Fighting Spirit level 2 and then Fighting Spirit level 3 over here. So Fighting Spirit versus the Legendary Bow, which one should you go for? honestly, Legendary Bow is for Shield Boomerang, and then Fighting Spirit is for Shield Chain. Shield Chain is a melee skill, it's not a range skill, while this Shield Boomerang is a range skill, quite obvious, right? So the focus here, though, I would say is more on Shield Chain. I wouldn't really focus that much on Shield Boomerang because it is more just for grinding, and also Shield Chain can be used for grinding, but also like in time space, anomaly, and all these other game modes. Even in PvP, if you want to PvP with Shield Chain, right, definitely you would want to have Fighting Spirit over Legendary Bow. So this is just my recommendations. Go for full Fighting Spirit to focus on Shield Chain only. And then the rest of the slots are just as usual, right? Simple and quite self-explanatory. Now moving on to the cogwheels, I have this setup over here. I spent quite a lot of time yesterday combining all my Vesper cores to obtain this setup. However, I would say that this is more focused on Shield Boomerang. So let's talk about Shield Boomerang first. This one, first things first, you guys see me fuse this. This is Bouncing Booster Device as well as Energy Storm. Energy Storm, not the most important, but Bouncing Booster Device, you need to have it even at level 2. It's going to have the effect whereby when you cast Shield Boomerang, it's going to bounce multiple times, and each bounce increases the damage based on its level, right? So level 6 is 6%. So you having a lower level 1, right, is also not going to matter too much. The main thing you want to have your Shield Boomerang bounce, right? This is where your training mechanism comes from. And then the next is going to be the Light Empowering Device. So this one I have it at level 4 with a Vesper core. Your shield skills have a 23% chance to cause the shield to explode when it hits the enemy, dealing 80% physical damage to enemies near the target. So once again, this is in combination with Shield Boomerang, so the AoE splashes on all the targets when you have the 23% chance trigger, right? This one is quite important, I would say, if you are going for AoE build. And then the last one, of course, is going to be Mana Length Boost. This is where it comes when you're standing quite far and then it boosts your length, right? If you have the Mana Reversal, you can just stand on the creep spawn itself. However, it's going to hamper you quite a bit, especially if you want to train with Earthlord. You want to suck all the enemies, right? You are going to want to have Mana Length Boost instead of the Mana Length Reversal. So this is just based on the Shield Boomerang. For the Shield Chain itself, it's going to be the Mana Length Reversal. So you definitely want Mana Length Reversal. You can see mine is already expired, so I don't have it over here. But Mana Length Reversal is going to be very, very important because you're always going to be at 0 range. Another cogwheel that I forget to mention just now, right, for both Shield Boomerang and the Shield Chain is going to be especially relevant, is going to be the Forge by Light. So it is right over here. If I'm not wrong, I should have a Forge by Light. Yeah, this one is the one. So this is the Forge by Light. What it does is that every time you take damage, your weight of your shield is going to increase by 80. But of course, it's only one time. I don't think it's going to be multiple times, at least not stated over here. But weight increasing by 80 is quite significant, right? Because if you just take a look at my Crack Buckler, its weight is only 60. So once I take damage, it's going to increase by 80. And depending on the level, it's going to increase more. So this is one of the more important cogwheels, I would think. And I think that's about it for the cogwheels. Now moving on to the sigils, you can see here I'm on the full survivability sigils. Honestly, I would say that the offensive cogwheels for Shield Boomerang as well as Shield Chain is not the best. Even if I try very hard to look for it, I think the closest one I have would be Energy Drain. So every second you gain 1 stack, and then when dealing damage, you consume all stacks of Energy Drain with each stack, and then you do increase damage by 1%. So this is one of the best one I've seen. The other one that I would recommend if you guys really want to go for offensive cogwheels is going to be Megaton Bash. This is going to be useful only if the amount of damage is higher than 70% of the max HP of the target. So this is more for grinding with Shield Chain, whereby you are unable to 1-hit KO, but you're barely unable to 1-hit KO, right? So this is going to increase your damage so that it will push you to the threshold to 1-hit KO the creeps. This is what I think. Honestly, the defensive ones, right, are going to be so good, especially for survivability on the later maps, that I would not want to switch them out. Now lastly, for the feathers, as recommended, this Shield Chain Shield Boomerang does not ignore defense, so you definitely want to have time space over here. And then for this one itself, this one I think that the 2 gold, 3 purple is fine. The 4 purple, 1 gold is also fine. Really depends on where you are on the progression scale. Based on my feather guide, you definitely want to have these virtual as well though, because of the VIT, right? Other than that, nothing too significantly important from this end. Now, of course, I know people are curious about where I'm grinding right now, and honestly, I've given up on grinding. I'm just using the Shield Boomerang to farm cuts using my combat time. So this is what I've been doing. You can see that I don't one-hit KO the goblins over here. The only reason why is because I'm using a win converter. I'm going to show you guys where to grind for people interested in EXP, but me personally, I'm just grinding here for cuts. I'm not grinding for any EXP. But of course, I know that you guys want to see some actual grinding footage. So this is me grinding at X Cobalt. Honestly, the EXP at X Cobalt is still faster given the fact that most people still fight faster in Cobalts. If you want to go to other spots, you can also do so. You can see right here, I'm just using Shield Boomerang. It's 3-hit KO, so every 3 hits it will kill off the whole stack. And then the only disadvantage I would say about this Shield Boomerang is that if there's only one enemy, it doesn't bounce. And if it doesn't bounce, the damage is quite insignificant. So you can see over here, right, if I were to stand in this spot, the usual strategy for Shield Boomerang to have super fast EXP rates is to use a Earth Lord. So what you want is to have an Earth Lord stand in the center of 2 spawns, or like what I've shown just now on the Goblin camp, right? If they are spawning just nice in 3 spots, you can just like queue off both spawns, and then with that there is no cooldown in terms of waiting for the monster to respawn. So as you can see here, once they are clumped up, it's quite easily to be cleared. But honestly, from what I've seen, right, I think that this is quite slow, and a lot of spots whereby I've seen people recommend whereby it's like Sunken Ship F2, whereby you can suck multiple mobs and you are able to get great EXP that way, right? Those spots are extremely popular, so I'm not exactly sure how well you are able to obtain those spots. So really, I think that using Shield Boomerang to like farm isn't exactly the most ideal, but it also might be because my damage is significantly lower without cross shield, and also the heavy shield training is currently bugged, right? So in the future, if the heavy shield training is fixed and also I get to get the divine armament, I can test out the shield chain build again with that. But I think that as of now, my training methods, right, I think that it's going to be too slow. I would prefer to train instead with shield chain. I recommend you guys to do so as well for people that are unable to do more damage for the Shield Boomerang. Instead, just go with Rampage Smithing, right? Shield Chain. So Rampage Smithing or Shield Chain here is going to one-hit KO the mob, and it's going to be quite useful. So even if it doesn't one-hit KO, you can put in Megaton Bash. It's definitely going to one-hit KO, or you can just put in the pet so your pet can do an extra hit. So just like this, one-hit KO into one-hit KO into one-hit KO. So this is quite straightforward. The damage might be a bit lower because I don't have the right one. So if I remove this and I were to add in the, I don't have the reversal. Let me just add in a random reversal over here. So over here, I have a random reversal. So you can see it goes up to 340k. So this should be enough to 1 KO quite easily. So this would be faster than trying to camp for a spot with Earth Lord. Especially if you don't have Earth Lord, right? Then forget about training with Shield Boomerang. I don't think it's going to be that relevant. Killing one by one, 1-hit KO, 1-hit KO, 1-hit KO is going to be faster than you Shield Boomerang 3 spots at a time and then waiting for the first mob to respawn again, right? So with this, there is no downtime technically. Definitely a bit better if you want to train like this. And that about does it for this video where I touched on the shield builds, the Shield Boomerang, as well as the Rampage Smithing Shield Chain, right? So I know that this video is a bit long, but there's so many things I want to cover, especially with the battle chants, with the testings and stuff like that. So I hope that you guys learned something from this video. And if you guys have any comments, definitely leave it in the comment section below. I'll definitely check it out. Also, if you are not interested in playing a Paladin, but you just want to drop change for the rewards, definitely check out this video here. It also has a bit of footage of me trying my luck with my Demon Clockworks. I'll see you guys over there. This is Corky Gachas, signing off.